A Love So Still. Part 1. The apartment door wasn't locked. I should have changed the locks. That's what everyone told me after I broke it off with Ava. Friends, coworkers, even my sister. I didn't listen. It felt like overkill. She wasn't dangerous, just intense. Emotional. The kind of person who threw herself into everything without a second thought. That's what drew me to her at first. It's also what made me leave. There was no big fight. No betrayal. Just a slow build-up of dread. Something about the way she looked at me. Like she was trying to memorize my face, my bones, my insides. Like she needed me to be more than a boyfriend. Like she needed me to be hers, completely. I started waking up in the middle of the night to find her watching me. Not in a cute way. Not lovingly. Studying. She never blinked. When I told her it was over, she didn't cry. She didn't scream. She just smiled. "You'll come back," she said. "You just don't know it yet." That was 2 months ago. Since then, she texted me a few times. Nothing threatening. Just vague little messages. "Thinking about you. Did you miss me yesterday? You left your heartbeat here." I ignored them. Blocked the number. Moved on. Or thought I had. Then I came home last night and found the door to my apartment unlocked. That should have been enough. I should have called the cops. Should have turned around and waited outside. But I stepped in. Because something about the silence felt wrong. Too full. The lights were off. The air smelled like jasmine. Her perfume. The hallway was empty. So was the kitchen. Nothing missing. Nothing broken. But the table had been wiped clean, and I hadn't done that. My coffee mug was turned just slightly to the left. She was here. She'd been here. I checked the bedroom. No one. Then I opened the closet and found a photograph nailed to the inside of the door. It was one of me. Sleeping. Mouth open. Sheets tangled around my legs. The timestamp was from 3 nights ago. I threw it in the trash and spent the next hour checking every inch of the apartment. Windows. Fence. Cabinets. She wasn't there. But she'd been there. Recently. When I went to bed, I locked the bedroom door. And wedged a chair beneath the knob. Just in case. Sleep came in fragments. I kept hearing things. Breathing. Whispers. Once, I opened my eyes and thought I saw a figure in the corner. But it was just a shadow. Wasn't it? At 3:17 a.m., I woke up to scratching. Soft. Steady. From inside the wall. Not the floor. Not the ceiling. The wall. Right behind my bed. I pressed my ear to it and held my breath. The scratching stopped. Then a voice. Low. Calm. "Don't roll over. I like it when you face me." I leapt from the bed and turned on every light in the apartment. There was no one there. Nothing in the walls. No crawl space. No attic access. I ripped the wall paneling off with a hammer. Just insulation. But it smelled like her. The next morning, I went to the leasing office. Asked if anyone had been given a spare key. They said no. I asked if there had been complaints, any noise. Strange behavior. The receptionist gave me a strange look. No, but you sure you're okay? Why? She hesitated. We've had tenants say they saw you talking to someone outside your door. A woman. Long black hair. Pale. You were holding her hand. I shook my head. I live alone. She didn't respond. Just printed out a new key card and handed it to me. Might want to change your locks. That night, I installed a security camera. Just one. In the hallway. Pointed directly at the front door. I didn't tell anyone. I didn't sleep. At 4:03 a.m., my phone buzzed. Motion detected. I watched the video on the screen with trembling fingers. There she was. Ava. Standing outside my apartment. Not moving. Not knocking. Just standing. Her head tilted slightly, like she was listening through the door. The camera cut to black for 6 seconds. When it returned, she was gone. But the door was open, and I never heard it move. When I got up the courage to check the footage again, something else caught my attention. For the brief moment before the camera went dark, when she was standing in the frame, I looked at her face. And she was smiling. Not at the door. At the camera. Like she knew I was watching. Like she was glad. I packed a bag and went to stay with my friend Derek across town. I didn't explain much. Just said I needed a few nights. He offered me the guest room and a drink. I didn't sleep. The bed was too soft. The house too quiet. And the feeling that she was near, it didn't fade. It followed me. At 2:46 a.m., I heard knocking. Not at the door. Not the window. From under the bed. Just 3 soft knocks. I didn't look. I didn't move. I just whispered into the dark. Please, just leave me alone. A voice whispered back. You shouldn't have left. Part 2. Teeth under the floorboards. I left Derek's house at dawn, still shaking. I didn't tell him why. Didn't want to see the look on his face when I explained that I heard knocking from under the bed. That I heard her voice, Ava's voice, inside his walls. I told him I was just dealing with stress. Burnout. He nodded like he believed me, but I saw the twitch in his brow. The small step back. He didn't press. By noon, I was back at my place. Back to the scene. The front door was locked, just as I'd left it. The security camera was fried. The lens cracked straight down the middle, like someone had sliced it with a razor. When I stepped inside, the smell hit me first. Jasmine. Heavy. Rotten. It clung to the furniture, the walls, my clothes. There were no signs of forced entry. Nothing out of place. Until I went into the bedroom. The bed was made. Not just made, perfect. Sheets crisp. Pillows aligned. Tucked in the way Ava used to do it. On the pillow was something small. Gray. I stepped closer. A tooth. Human. Still wet. I didn't touch it. I just stared. That's when I noticed the sound again. Not scratching this time. A wet, chewing noise. Coming from under the floorboards. I dropped to my knees and pressed my ear to the hardwood. There it was. Low. Rhythmic. Something shifting below. Moving. Gnawing. I backed away and ran for the door. But it was locked. from the inside. I didn't lock it. I didn't touch it. I stood in the hallway, trying to breathe, trying to think. Then I heard her voice again. Calm. Close. You always tried to hide things from me. I spun. No one. Only the hallway mirror. But something was wrong with the reflection. I was alone. But in the mirror, I wasn't. She stood behind me. Ava. Smiling. Eyes too wide. Hair soaked. Her hand rested on my shoulder in the reflection, though I felt nothing. Then the mirror cracked. Just a single line, straight down her face. She blinked. And vanished. I didn't sleep that night. I sat in the kitchen with all the lights on, knife in hand, watching the hallway. Around 3 a.m., I heard the front door creak. But it never opened. Then the chewing returned. Louder now. Faster. Like something getting hungry. I called the locksmith first thing in the morning. Paid extra to have all the locks replaced. Deadbolts. Chains. Extra security. He asked what happened to the last lock. I told him it rusted out. He nodded, but didn't look convinced. As he worked, I asked him a question I hadn't dared ask before. You ever get weird calls? From tenants in this building? He stopped. Not fully. Just paused. Then looked over his shoulder. You live in 3B, right? I nodded. He sighed. Lady a couple years back, your unit, said someone kept getting in. Said they came through the walls. We laughed at first. Then she disappeared. Disappeared? Yeah. Place was spotless. Nothing taken. Door was deadlocked from the inside. Police couldn't explain it. What happened to her? He shrugged. Moved out, I guess. But the way he said it didn't sound like a guess. Not really. That night, I tore the floor open. I couldn't take the sound anymore. Got a crowbar. Started near the bed. Hardwood splintered under my hands. The chewing stopped the moment I pried up the first board. What I saw underneath wasn't rot. Wasn't insulation. It was a hole. A small crawl space. And at the bottom of it, a pile of something. Cloth. Hair. Bone. And in the center, my toothbrush. Wrapped in Ava's scarf. I gagged. Almost fell in. But I didn't. I backed away. Covered it back up. Left the board shattered. That night the dreams started. I saw her in every one. Standing at the foot of the bed. Crawling across the ceiling. Whispering into the vent. You were happiest with me. You were mine. You still are. I woke up screaming. Knife clutched so hard my palm bled. There were scratches on the wall above my bed. 3 of them. Long. Curved. Not like nails. Like claws. The next morning I checked my phone. 1 message. No number. No timestamp. Just a voice recording. It was me. Sobbing. Begging. Please, Ava. I'll stay. I'll be better. Just let me out. I never said that. I never would. I deleted it and smashed the phone. Tossed it into the river later that day. When I got home, she was waiting. Not in the apartment. Not in the hallway. In the mirror. Same smile. Same eyes. This time, her mouth moved. But there was no sound. Just a trickle of water leaking from the corner of the glass. Then her hand reached out, pressed against the inside of the mirror, palm to glass, and written across it in fog, "Let me in." Part 3. She waits in the walls. I covered every mirror in the apartment. Sheets, towels, duct tape, didn't matter. I didn't care how it looked. I just couldn't risk seeing her again. I couldn't handle that smile. That awful calm, like nothing was wrong, like I was the one who had broken something sacred. But I could still feel her watching. Even without the mirrors, I felt her eyes behind the walls. In the plumbing. In the air vents. She moved like moisture, like mold, creeping in places I couldn't see, couldn't scrub clean. The whispering never stopped. It didn't even wait for night anymore. I'd hear it while brushing my teeth, while buttering toast, while peeing. Soft. Patient. You don't have to run anymore. This can still be love. No one will understand you like I do. I tried blasting music. Didn't help. The whisper just got louder. I wore headphones. White noise. Static. Still didn't help. The whisper wasn't in the air. It was in me. Like her voice had found a tunnel straight to the marrow. That was the night the walls started bleeding. I know how that sounds. I know. But I saw it. Thin trickles of red, leaking from the corners of the drywall, pooling slowly along the baseboards. At first, I thought it was my eyes. Hallucination. Stress. But I touched it. Warm. Sticky. Real. I scrubbed until my knuckles were raw. It came back. Next morning, same spots. Same crimson veins stretching like cracks in plaster. But this time, they moved when I touched them. Pulled away. Like they were alive. I called a contractor. Told him there might be water damage. Mold. Anything but what it really was. He came 2 days later. Never stepped inside. Just stood in the hall, stared at the walls through the open door. "You painted recently?" he asked. "No." "Huh." He scratched his head, took a step back. "Sorry, man. Not my kind of job." "What's that mean?" He didn't answer. Just left. I stood there, alone again, in a place that didn't feel like mine anymore. And that night, the scratching started again. Louder. Aggressive. Like digging. Not from under the bed this time. From the inside of the walls. The sound circled the apartment. Behind the TV. Behind the kitchen cabinets. Inside the hallway. Always just behind the plaster. Always just out of reach. And then came the knocks. Not in patterns. Not playful. Urgent. Hungry. Thud. 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 Right behind my head as I tried to sleep. Thud. 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 From inside the closet as I changed clothes. Thud. From beneath the sink as I brushed my teeth. And then the whispers again. But this time, her voice had changed. Not pleading. Not gentle. Icy. "You think walls will stop me? You think I haven't learned every part of you? I'm not outside anymore." I punched through the drywall. Tore out chunks with my hands. Found nothing but insulation. And a photo. tucked deep behind the beams. Another one of me. This time I was crying, staring into a mirror. I hadn't taken it. I hadn't even seen it before. But I remembered the moment. Because she was there. I just hadn't seen her in the mirror at the time. Now, in the photo, her face filled the reflection. Standing behind me. Smiling. Like she always did. I burned it. Lit it in the sink. Watched the paper curl and blacken and vanish. But the flame didn't go out. It flickered along the faucet, down into the pipes, and hissed, like something deep below was breathing it in. I didn't sleep. Again. Not really. I dozed. And when I did, I dreamt of her voice calling from inside the walls, singing lullabies in reverse. And then footsteps. From inside the vents. Soft at first. Then faster. Scuttling. Like something with too many legs, or not enough bones. I woke up to the sound of a vent cover falling off. Walked into the hallway and found it lying on the floor. Screws melted. Metal warm. I peered into the shaft. Dark. Still. Until something shifted. A flicker of pale skin. A hint of a smile. I slammed the cover back on. Bolted it in place. And then I saw the word. Written along the inside of the metal in smeared red. Closer. I packed my things. Again. I didn't know where I was going. Didn't matter. I just had to get out. I left the apartment. Rented a motel 30 miles away. Cheap. Ugly. Quiet. For the first time in days, I felt something like safety. But when I unpacked, I found a note tucked in my duffel. Folded neatly. Still damp. Written in handwriting that wasn't mine. I like this one. I'll decorate it while you sleep. Part 4. The mattress has teeth. The motel room looked like every other forgotten corner of roadside America. Yellowed wallpaper, a buzzing ceiling fan, and a bed that felt like it remembered every nightmare ever laid upon it. I chose it for its emptiness, for how little it had to offer. No vents. No closets. No mirrors. Just walls, thin and beige, with water stains that looked almost like faces if I stared too long. I unpacked slowly, checking every item. I hadn't brought much. Didn't want to. Clothes. Toothbrush. Journal. A bottle of whiskey. A box cutter. I found the note in my bag again. I'd crumpled it before, but it had returned, folded perfectly, no crease, no wrinkle. Same words. I like this one. I'll decorate it while you sleep. I burned it in the sink. This time, I watched the ash swirl down the drain, whispering her name. Not out of love. Out of defiance. Ava. I said it once. The room breathed. That night I didn't drink. Didn't write. I sat on the bed and waited, staring at the walls, watching the light flicker from the street lamp through the broken blinds. Nothing happened. Until I blinked. Just once. And the bed dipped. As if someone had just lain beside me. The sheets didn't move. But the mattress sank in a very specific way. A weight. A form. I didn't turn to look. I just whispered, "You're not here." And the whisper came back, right against my ear. "But I am." I jumped up. Flipped the sheets. Nothing. But the mattress was warm. Wet slightly, with the scent of jasmine and something else, coppery and old. I dragged the mattress off the bed frame and shoved it upright against the wall. That's when I saw them. Bite marks. Dozens. Lining the underside of the mattress like little O-shaped impressions. Each one ringed with red. Some fresh. Some old. Some mine. That night, I slept on the floor. No pillow. No blanket. Just my back against the carpet and the knife in my hand. I didn't sleep long. Because around 2:54 a.m., I heard the bed creak. Not settle. Move. I opened my eyes and saw the mattress, still propped up, shifting. Something pressed from the inside. Pushing out. Not a hand. Not a face. Just the impression of a body writhing beneath the fabric, bulging against the surface like a moth trapped under skin. Then a split. A seam in the middle tore open, slowly, carefully, like a smile parting for the first time in years. And from inside came a single whisper. I miss this part of you. I ran. Didn't pack. Didn't look back. I drove until the sun came up, heading toward anywhere. I stopped at a rest station, locked myself in a stall, and vomited bile and fear into a toilet stained by ghosts of 100 travelers before me. When I looked in the mirror above the sink, she wasn't there. But my reflection was wrong. It smiled when I didn't. And the pupils were just a little too wide. I smashed it. Slept in the car that night. And woke up to find her hair caught in the door frame. Tangled. Black. Still warm. And in the center of the passenger seat, sitting politely with perfect posture, was the mattress tag from the motel bed. Scrawled across it, in marker that hadn't been there before. You carry me with you now. I drove to the police. Told them everything. That my ex was stalking me. Breaking into my apartment. Sending messages. Threatening me. They asked for evidence. I gave them photos. The teeth marks. The note. The camera footage. They looked at the files, then looked at me. One officer, a younger guy, said, "There's no one on the video." What? Just you. Standing in your apartment. Talking to someone who isn't there. I showed him the photo with Ava in the mirror. He turned it. Showed me a blank glass. No Ava. No reflection but mine. They gave me pamphlets. Numbers to call. Said I might be going through something. That trauma can do funny things to a mind. Maybe Ava had never been real at all, one of them whispered when he thought I'd left. Maybe I made her up. But I know what I saw. What I heard. What I still hear. Because now, when I close my eyes, I can feel the mattress again. Feel her under me. Breathing. Smiling. Waiting. And sometimes I catch myself humming a lullaby I don't remember learning. And I'll feel it again. That weight beside me. Soft. Familiar. Heavy with love. She's not gone. She's never gone. She's underneath it all. Part 5. The shape that fits. I haven't spoken to anyone in 3 days. The phone rings, but I don't answer it anymore. Doesn't matter who's on the other end. I know what they'll say. I've heard it all already. You need help. You're not sleeping. She's gone. You need to let go. But I know the truth now. Ava didn't leave. She didn't die. She didn't disappear. She changed shape. She found something better than skin and bones. Something deeper. She found a place to live where no one could pull her out. Me. She's in my thoughts. My spine. The way I hold my breath before I enter a room. The way I start to hum when I'm scared. It's not a song. It's her lullaby. She planted it in me the night I left. I think back to that moment now, standing in the doorway of her apartment, telling her it was over. Her arms at her sides. Her eyes on mine. Calm. Still. She didn't cry. She just said, "I'll make myself fit. You'll see." At the time, I didn't understand what she meant. Now I do. I see her every night. Not in the mirror anymore. Not in dreams. I see her in the folds of my sheets. In the shape of my breath against the window. In the shadows beneath my fingernails. I've taken to locking myself in the bedroom. But it doesn't help. She's already inside. I tried cutting her out once. A little slice, just beneath the collarbone, where the skin had started to itch. Something was growing there, just under the surface. I felt it twitch at night. So I dug. Found hair. Still rooted. Still warm. I wrapped it around my finger and wept. That was 2 nights ago. Since then, she's gotten stronger. I feel her when I speak, my voice just slightly off. Too soft. Like hers. My handwriting's changed too. Rounder. Smoother. I found a note on my desk this morning. 3 simple words, written in red ink I don't remember buying. "You're almost ready." I burned it. Of course I did. But the smoke smelled like jasmine. And the flames didn't crackle. They sighed. Like relief. Like breath. I've stopped sleeping. When I lie down, I feel her fingers in my hair. Her mouth against my ear. She tells me stories about the things that live in the walls. In the air. About the way love never dies, it just changes form. And she's right. I believe her now. I feel her everywhere. She's redecorated the inside of me. Rearranged the furniture of my mind. She fits now. Perfectly. The last change happened this afternoon. I was brushing my teeth. Looked up. And there she was. In the mirror. No crack. No blood. Just Ava. Smiling. But this time, she wasn't behind me. She was me. Looking back. Same clothes. Same eyes. Same mouth. She mouthed something I couldn't hear. So I leaned closer. And this time, I felt it. Her breath. From inside the glass. It fogged the mirror. And in that breath, a new message appeared. Slow. Careful. Come home. So I did. I packed up what little I had left. She didn't need much room anyway. And I went back. Not to the apartment. To our apartment. It was waiting. Smelled like her. Sounded like her. And when I stepped inside, I felt it. The walls were softer now. More welcoming. They hummed. The floor bent slightly to greet my steps. The bed had no mattress, but I didn't need one. The floor cradled me. Like arms. Like roots. like memory. And when I closed my eyes, she was there. Whole. Real. Smiling. She climbed into me gently, like water filling a hollow. Like she'd been waiting all along. And in that moment I understood. Love doesn't end when the other person leaves. It ends when you finally accept that there's no longer space for anyone else. Only her. Only Ava. Now we are together. Always. Still. The end.